genre.
Doctor Who, The Long Way Round, the weekly podcast where we review, discuss, and recap every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Nick Jimenez.
I'm Cassandra Fredrickson.
And I'm Scott Corelli.
Today on the show, we'll be discussing 4 to Doomsday, the fifth Doctor's second story, although technically it was the first one filmed, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the sort of background things I was going to get into, which is, this is the first time that happened, filming out of order like that. So that happens constantly now, pretty much every single time, the one exception being, I guess it's happened with it happened with Matt Smith and it happened with Capaldi. It didn't happen with David Tennant because his first episode was a Christmas special, so obviously they shot that first. And it didn't happen. I don't think it happened with Eccleston. I'm pretty sure they shot Rose first. But it is sort of a regular occurrence, like Matt Smith's first episode was the Angels 2-parter from season 5. And I believe Capaldi's first episode, what was his second story?
The Dalek one?
Yeah, I think the first story that they filmed was the Dalek one. I think.
Yeah, and according to the TARDIS wiki, it was somewhat related to Davidson being wanting to start with a performance where he was more confident. But I actually think he's almost better in this episode than he was in Legopolis. Castrovalva.
Yeah, but I think, I think you're right, and I think that it's the reasoning behind doing it that way is that so they can dive in both feet forward with their doctor, and then sort of like backward engineer it in their regeneration story,
right?
Which I think so it's basically okay, you're going to end up here because we already filmed that.
Mm-hmm.
And here's where the other guy was. So now in this story, transition, I guess.
Right.
And so I do like that as a technique, as a production technique for the Doctor. But yeah, this is the first time that they ever did that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of.
And I think the story in general is it's really fun and very sort of quintessential Doctor Who, and I can feel a lot of Russell T Davies in this, or I should say, I can feel a lot of 4 to Doomsday in the Russell T Davies era. It feels like his sort of thing to me. The Doctor and his companion showing up on this thing, and they're like, "Oh, this is weird," and it's mostly the Doctor just sort of exploring and celebrating the human race, and then saving the day.
Yeah, there's a kind of Magic School Bus level history lesson in there.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I like that. But anyway, let's talk about the story itself, Cass.
Okay. So it's interesting, I think, that we're doing this one because as we'll see it unfold, it's very it kind of feels like Ark in Space a little. Because Tegan wants to go, she wants to go back to Heathrow because that's where she works. She's an airline hostess. And so the Adric programs the coordinates into the TARDIS, which I hate. And he programs the wrong coordinates, so they land on this giant empty ship. And this
did he program the wrong coordinates, or did we decide? Did we figure out like definitively that that's what happened?
I think they go back and forth, but
okay.
As far as I'm aware, I'm not sure. I don't like Adric, so he messed up in my book.
Okay.
So
there's a lot to not like in this story, as far as Adric is concerned.
Yeah. Oh my god.
He's a little jerk in this.
So Tegan is kind of whiny, and she's like, "I want to go home." Blah blah blah. But Nyssa and Adric and the Doctor are all pretty curious about all this. They see all this technology and like weird machines and equipment. So they go. The Doctor leaves the TARDIS with this ridiculous helmet that's supposed to help him breathe, and
it looks like Ant-Man's helmet.
Yeah, a little bit without the lens. So I don't know how it's supposed to help you.
It looks like they did like a special BBC version of like 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and they just still had those helmets.
Yeah. Well, it specifically looks like the original Ant-Man helmet from the comics, like the really simple like 1960s Stan Lee like Jack Kirby Ant-Man, you know?
Yeah.
And he wears it on his head, and it works.
Yeah.
Ow!
It's ridiculous looking. I think if I ever got to be like a producer on Doctor Who, that'd be the first thing I would do would be to bring that stupid helmet back. It's pretty spectacular.
Yeah, the image of like Matt Smith floating in outer space but still wearing that helmet is pretty magical.
No, dude, Capaldi floating in space wearing that helmet.
I'm here.
It's like the one orange space that they have, and then that ridiculous helmet.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, it's perfect.
So the Doctor explores a little bit, and there's this floating orb with like a camera on it, and he's like, "Oh, that's weird." So he goes back to the TARDIS, and
well, before he goes back to the TARDIS, though, there's that bit where he's just sort of like scoping out the lab that they've landed in, and he just, being the Doctor, he's like just marveling at things because that's what he does. He's like trying to figure out where exactly they are by like looking at everything and just being like kind of amazed by it all, by how quaint it all is. That's sort of the Doctor, right? He's like, oh wow, look at how amazing this is. Isn't it quaint? Like it's just it's pretty great. But yeah, he's doing that.
Condescending if it weren't so genuine.
Right. He's very earnest about being very condescending. And we're in the TARDIS, and he told everybody to stay behind because he's got his Ant-Man helmet on, and so it's safe. And they're all watching him on the screen, and Tegan is just like mad that he's taking forever. Which it's like, do you not understand? I feel like no one on this show ever understands how time travel works, which is that like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter how long things are taking. It doesn't matter. It's a time machine.
Well, she doesn't really have that much faith in the Doctor, though, at this point, and even being.
I guess that's true. Yeah, I guess that's true. But there's that part where she's like, "Is there another helmet pack? I'm going to go out there." And Adric's like, "You can't." And she goes, "Well, what if he's in trouble?" And I'm like, you can see he's not in trouble. He's just looking around. What are you talking about?
Right?
Have we gotten to the part where Adric says that women aren't smart?
No, I think we're about to get to that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so the Doctor's exploring and talking to this floating camera thing, and then it goes back to Adric and Nyssa and Tegan, and Adric and Tegan are arguing, and Adric's just like, oh, that's the worst thing about women. Like, they're just impatient and like awful and whatever.
He tells her to go read a maths textbook.
Yeah.
And she's like, maths? What? Why would I do that? Who would do that for fun? And he's like, men, real men, not women.
And then Nyssa looks up from like her textbook, and she's like, excuse me.
Yeah, and he's like, "You're not a woman, you're a
You're
girl."
a girl.
And she's like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Oh," and then I can't tell if she's like still offended or if she's like, "Oh," and then looks at Tegan like, "Yeah, stupid woman." I couldn't tell what the look was that she gave after she said that. But it was funny. I don't know what he thinks happens to women when they go through puberty.
Yeah.
I don't think he understands that. I mean, are we supposed to believe that Nissa's not a woman? Because I'm not buying that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, they all act like children. But
Yeah, I don't know how old Nissa is supposed to be. I think she might be like a teenager, but like her actress is obviously not.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, oh, by the way, I noticed today, doesn't Nissa kind of look like the actress that plays Selena Kyle in Gotham?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's weird.
Just kind of noticed that, but
she should play Nissa in the Adventures of Space of Time sequel.
Yeah, those sequels we keep casting.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's
all of them. I want all of them.
How old is Aldrich supposed to be? Because he's like, he looks 14, but then like he also looks.
I think he's supposed to be like 12-ish.
Really?
I think.
I don't remember.
I think he's supposed to be 12 or 13.
He's definitely like a boy. You know, he's not even like a teenager yet.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's not. Well, but the reason I say 12 or 13 is because like I think he's like obviously like how old is the actor? Like 14 or 15, right?
Oh,
I think so.
Yeah, 16 maybe. But the way that he acts, he sort of acts like, you know, kids in an Amblin movie are just like, ugh, girls. So that's why I think he's supposed to be in like the 12, 13 age range. Just like based on, I don't know, the character, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, it very much is. It does seem like the Doctor is like babysitting these like three kind of feuding, like rambunctious youths.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Peter Davison era. That feeling never goes away.
He's like the cool older brother, and he has to just drag around these three whining kids all the time.
Tell you what, if you're nice on this adventure, I'll get you a beer.
Yeah, he's like the youngest uncle who was the godfather to these group of kids and was like, well, that'll never be a thing. And then all of their parents died.
Yeah.
And he's just stuck with them now.
So Full House.
It's a Full House.
Yeah, Davidson.
It's Full House without Bob Saget.
Davidson would be Dave Coulier.
Yeah.
Tom Baker would be John Stamos, and Davidson would, and then Pertwee would
actually, in a way, their parent did die because their parent was Tom Baker.
Oh.
Oh, so that's kind of exactly what happened. He inherited these companions, these kids. Huh. That's weird. All right.
So the Doctor comes back and he's like, "Hey, come out." So they all put on these silly helmets, and
aren't connected to anything.
Yeah, no, it's just like, oh, it magically helps you breathe. They have
the little they have the packs in the back of the helmet that I assume hold the air that they're breathing.
That's actually a pretty smart idea. They're like wireless helmets.
Yeah, basically.
I didn't notice that. I was just taken with how silly they look.
Yeah, I assume they sort of like much like the air tube thing, the air I don't know, whatever in Ark in Space. I presume like the front piece just blows air in their face. Just blows oxygen into their face.
You need this.
Yeah, take it.
Take all of
it. So they all go exploring, and the Doctor talks to this floaty camera eye, and he says hello, and is just like, oh, we come in peace. And he basically asks like, oh, who's in charge here? And this door up this flight of stairs opens, so the Doctor goes through it, and Tegan follows because she doesn't think the Doctor can accomplish anything by himself. And Nyssa and Adric stay behind for some reason. They're like tinkering on the machines, but I don't know like what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's
also that great moment where he specifically tells Adric to stay behind with Nyssa.
Yeah, and he's like, why would I?
And Adric's just like, no. He's very not with the girl.
Yeah.
Us men have to stick together. The girls can stay behind.
Yeah. So Tegan and the Doctor, they are wandering through all these hallways, and doors keep opening, and there's more of the floaty camera things, and eventually they end up on, I guess, the bridge, and they meet these three
throne room is what I would call
it. These three green things that are sitting in these three chairs.
They're toad people.
Are they toad people?
I don't know. They look kind of toady.
I called them avocado.
Yeah, it looks like guacamole is like all over their face.
Yeah. The guacamole men.
The guacamoles.
The guacamoles.
So these three, the middle one, the one who's in charge, his name is Monarch because that's not egotistical. And
Monarch. That's not remotely the beginning of this guy's egotism,
right? And
like, this is literally his plan in this story. Is probably the most egotistical plan I've ever seen by any villain in any media form of media whatsoever.
It's certainly the most baselessly egotistical plan.
Oh my god! I mean, it's incredible. Like, don't get me wrong. It's absolutely it's a beautiful villain plan, but it is absolute madness.
Yes. So this guy is Monarch, and then on his right and left side he has his like toadies. Haha, toadies. The girl. The female one is named Enlightenment, and the guy is named Persuasion.
I've always been every time I watch this, I'm always super confused that her name is Enlightenment because there's a story like next season called Enlightenment. Yeah. And it's really memorable because it's like the best story of his era. So it's I mean, Caves of Androzani notwithstanding. But yeah, so it's very confusing.
Yeah, because I was like, wait, what? Is this what
but there's nothing to do with the two things. It's bizarre. Anyway.
So they question the Doctor and Tegan about Earth, and they're interested in, where they come from, how they got in the ship. Like they ask Tegan a lot about like Earth culture, like
fashion specifically.
Yeah. And Monarch
she draws an amazing sketch.
Right? She's like, oh well, it's hard to explain, and then she sits and draws for the next 10 minutes.
And there's this really great part where when Adric comes up to the throne room, and she's like, it's suggested that she's gonna miss her flight or whatever. That's right, because I forgot they are in 1981.
Right.
They're just in space. They're like not in the right place, but they're in the right time. So she's like, I'm gonna miss my flight and I'm gonna get fired. And Adric goes, well, you'll get a better job. And she's like, I don't want a better job. And I was like, who doesn't want a better job? What are you talking about? What are you even saying right now? Like, what?
Because he's antagonizing her about, like, he's like, well, if you learned your maths or whatever, and she's just like being really stubborn.
Well, but the thing that's even more stupid about it is she says it as she hands the Monarch her amazing drawing. She's like, I don't want a better job, as she hands over this incredible, professionally drawn fashion design.
It's a shame I have no skills.
Yeah. It's like, What?
Yeah. You're like, girl.
Oh, she's just like, I have no skills, and she draws this amazing drawing, and then later is fluent in Aborigine.
Right?
Like,
Yeah,
what?
I know, but
you have no
her
skills.
excuse for it is amazing because it's like, how do you know that? Oh, it's an Australian Aborigine. I'm from Texas. I don't speak any of the native languages of like the tribes that lived in Texas.
Right?
Like,
I know so many Australian, like we were watching it and I was like, oh yeah, because every Australian person knows how to speak Aboriginal. Like,
Right. Yeah, why not?
I also have done all of their religious ceremonies out in the outback.
Yeah, so Tegan draws this crazy drawing, basically like it's like more formal 80s fashion, and she hands it over. And they are escorted out of the throne room, and they meet up with Nyssa again. And Nyssa is like, I saw a human, and the doctor's like, whatever. And then this guy comes out in a toga, and he asks them to follow him, and they're led to this dining room, and they, get served food, and they're like an Aborigine shows up, a Mayan princess, and like this Chinese feudal lord guy. And
first perfect moment of this story.
Like,
what is?
Just the visual jarringness of just, I don't know. It kind of seemed like an amusement park that was on like lunch break.
It's like an updated It's a Small World.
Yeah, they're just like, all right, well, okay, that's 10.
It's like the Epcot employees just hanging out in the dining room. But so they're talking, and they're just like, oh, this is weird. Like, what are you all doing here? And our cliffhanger is basically these two people that look exactly like Tegan's drawing.
Which you can tell because her drawing was amazing.
Right?
It's almost like if she was a bad drawing, would they just look like really weird people?
Like Doodle Bob from SpongeBob.
Yeah, just like Doodle Bobs.
And they're like, oh, who are you? And it's light, enlightenment, and persuasion, and they look exactly like what Tegan drew. And then that's the end of part 1.
Yeah.
It's
a pretty good. I like it as a cliffhanger because it's just sort of a head scratcher.
Yeah.
I like that it isn't like a robot's about to eat the doctor. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's really good. I like that. So that brings us to part 2. Now, part 2 is going to be a little hard to summarize because overall, not a lot happens in part 2.
And yet,
so much happens. Yes. So I'll do my best. But plot wise, what happens is they basically say, yeah, no, we used your drawing and we recreated ourselves to look like this. And Adric becomes obsessed with this, and he's like, wait, can anyone do that? And they're like, yeah, if you want to. And he's like,
this
cool.
This is Epcot. Yeah.
Like, very cool. And then we find out that the Urbankans, how do you say their name?
Urbankans?
Urbankans?
It was weird. I kept thinking of John Urbank, the actor. Urbaniak.
Urbaniak, yeah. That's probably because the Monarch is in this.
Yeah, that too.
So the Urbankans, they have been collecting human specimens each time they visit Earth, and basically what they've been doing is they go to Earth, they collect somebody, they go back to their planet, and then they upgrade their ship. And every time they do this, their ship gets twice as fast as the time before. So it took them like 25,000 years to get to Earth the first time. And then it only took like 12,000 years. And then it took 6,000 years. Then it took 3,000 years. And so they keep getting faster and faster. And so now it's only been something like 1,500 years since they were there last time. And they're nearing the point where they're going to have light speed travel. And once they have light speed travel, Monarch who believes he is God wants to time travel to the Big Bang and use these human specimens to create life on Earth because he believes that it's his duty as God. It is insane.
This kind of like, do you remember that big blue guy that gave us the worst season finale of Doctor Who ever when he was ahead?
Yeah.
He's like that guy if he was made of guacamole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's not a very like imposing person. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Where do you?
I mean, he's
off?
basically. I mean, honestly, it's a lot like if Trump got light speed travel.
I'm God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out I'm God.
I'm so sad.
It's bizarre. Like it's super weird.
It's just so brazen.
It's an amazing villain plot, though. So he basically he wants to use these humans that he's collected to restart the human race because he's God and he thinks that this is how it happened. And where this comes from, no one knows. He's just crazy. He's a crazy person.
Just like, why is he like this?
Yeah, it's like a reality show host who believes that he should be president. It's amazing.
Like, imagine if Gary Mitchell had zero powers.
Yeah.
He's just like running around the ship, and everyone's like, "Dude, stop! What are you doing?"
So then, after the Doctor kind of like finds out all this information, they're invited to go to he and Tegan are invited to go to is it him and Tegan or him and Nyssa?
I think it's Nyssa.
Him and Tegan. Is it Nyssa?
No, it's Tegan. It's Tegan.
It is Tegan. Okay. So he and Tegan go and they're invited to a performance space, which is supposed to be a different room, but is absolutely the same room that they've been in this entire time.
Yes. Very important to know that.
Yeah. So they go. It's important to know that this ship has 3 rooms.
It holds 3 billion people.
They just keep redressing at all of the rooms, but they're the exact same room. It's incredible. Anyway, so they sit on this overpass, like this overpass on the road. what are those? What is that called? Like
the catwalk?
Like a balcony. What's that?
It's the greatest visual.
Okay, all right.
It's the greatest
Nick's
mental
dying.
image of all time.
Okay, what did you say, Cass?
The catwalk.
Catwalk. Thank you. So they're on the catwalk and they're like sitting. They sit down and they watch a performance of the Mayan princess and her Mayan handmaidens, I guess.
The Rockettes, if you will.
Yeah, they put on like sort of like this performance of this ancient dance or whatever. Mm-hmm. And everybody's watching, and sitting next to the Doctor are these are they Spartans? I assume they're Spartans, right?
Yeah, there's some kind of like ancient Greek or Roman, Greco-Roman kind of dudes.
Yeah, well, they can't be Roman because there's no Romans on the ship, so they're Greeks.
Okay,
so is Sparta Greece?
Yes.
Yeah, but
okay, so
what's the Greek guy says he's from Athens, so I assume they're Athenian.
Okay. All right, so they're what
the Spartans would call pussies.
So they're Greek soldiers. Doesn't matter. They're from Athens or whatever. But anyway, so they're sitting there.
They're under the Greek Empire.
Yeah, and there's 2 who are in like full armor. They just don't have their helmets on, and then there's 2 shirtless guys, and the shirtless guys are really sad. Like they're just, I don't know if you guys noticed them, but they're just sitting there and they just look so bored and sad. And
no one's really that into the dance. It doesn't seem like everyone's really passively watching this.
Yeah. So the Mayans dance and then they finish, and then the Chinese like Mandarin people, they come out, and then they come out in with they're like under like dragons, so they do like this
Yes,
dragon dance thing.
It was incredible. It was like a Nathan For You sketch.
Yeah. Well, and it was so great because they come out and the first thing that they do as part of their like dance routine is that the dragon's head just like shakes its head like, no, not this again.
No. Stop.
Stop. No.
We said we wouldn't. We said we weren't going to do this.
Yeah. And then so then while that's happening, Tegan or not Tegan, Nyssa and Adric are sort of like walking around the ship and
giving
going
each other like Indian burns.
Yeah, they're sort of exploring the ship, and they go through a garden room, like an agriculture room, and then they go into a computer room that doesn't have any oxygen in it, so they put their helmet things back on. And then they go into
probably the least fun part of that trip.
They go into a science room, and that's where all the Mandarin guys are. And it's weird that they're all segregated. I don't know what that's about, but for some reason, each room is like segregated by culture.
Oh, if you want to talk about segregated by culture, I got part 3 coming up for you right in here in a little bit.
And so then the Greek warrior dudes, they fight, and one of them kills the other one. And the doctor's like, "Whoa, that's messed up," and they drag him away. He stabs him all the way through his heart with a sword. And he dies instantly, falls to the ground. They drag his body away, and there's just no blood whatsoever.
Yeah,
like, it's pretty. It's a sign of things to come.
The last group danced.
Yeah, I know.
Well, time to do our special talent, Dave, and just fight to the death.
Well, and the important thing about that is that Adric also notices that there's no oxygen in these rooms, but for some reason, the Greeks and the Mandarin guys, they don't need any oxygen. So that's super weird. And then this guy gets stabbed through the heart and he doesn't bleed. That's super weird. Mm-hmm. And then the doctor, Bygone, the Greek dude, he comes over and he's like, "Hey, I need you to make a distraction." And the doctor's like on it, and then he fakes fainting, and everyone's like, "What's going on over there?" And then he's like, "I'm fine." And he gets up and sits down, and he's just like, "Yeah."
Cell 5
did it. And then
Davidson.
And then the Aborigines come out and they get down.
Yeah. No, they start like it turns into a bad Justin Timberlake video.
Yeah, no, it's like their dance, they're just like that's like I could see their dancing happening in like a 90s music video. Mm-hmm. Like it does not look like tribal dancing. It just looks like they're at the club.
Yeah, they're just jumping up and down.
Yeah, like it just seems like they're at a techno club. Like I was like the whole time, every time they came out, like the music would start, and then I would just be going like under my breath, like. Yeah, like it's just I just wanted them to pull out glow sticks and start like, oh my god, that was amazing. Start doing that thing where you like cup the ball in your hand, you know, and you move your arms around.
This is definitely one of the more fun alien like refugee communities we've seen on the show so far.
Yeah, totally. So
then Castrovalva.
So then they meet up with Bygone, and the doctor's just like, yeah, so a lot of weird stuff going on, huh? He's like, what's the deal? And like, what's the deal with the Urbankans and you know, if you're from, it's like, what do they have, like time travel on the ship or something? Because that's the only explanation of this. And he's like, no, like, and he explains the whole thing, the whole process of how they double their speed every time. They're like, so he's like, so you're like 20,000 years old, and he's like, yeah. He's like, well, sort of. And he's like, what? I don't understand. He's like, and then he like opens his chest and shows that he's a robot. And then he pulls out like a motherboard and he points at it and goes, "This is me."
Yeah.
Another great cliffhanger.
Yeah. He just like, "This is me."
Can you imagine it being a little kid? And
Hashtag this is me.
Hashtag this is me.
Hashtag me.
Hashtag no filter.
Hashtag GTOY.
Oh my god.
Hashtag body positive.
Yeah, he flips his face up too, which is like the worst.
It's the greatest special effect I've ever seen. It's amazing. It's like they green screened his face and put it over a piece of like flesh cloth, and then pulled the flesh cloth and then just erased the face, and then underneath used to have a robot.
Yeah, there's like this weird like second-rate Terminator face underneath, and then he like puts his face back down, and it's so funny.
It's like what is that? It's like the mask is green or blue, I guess. Back then it would have been like blue, and then they just like superimpose his face on it, right?
Yeah,
on the blue. So like when he lifts it and the blue disappears, his face disappears. But when he puts it down, his face is on the blue mask. But his face doesn't move.
Yeah, it's almost like his face leaves his face.
Yeah. It's like his face is a hologram. Like that's what it looks like.
It's so funny.
Oh god, it's magical. I mean, really.
Yeah. Man, British
it's everything you want.
The hell was that?
Yeah.
The hell's going
everything
on
you
here?
want.
Say what?
Everything you want.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's part 2.
Yeah, and part 3 opens with the Doctor is now suspicious of the Monarch's intentions, rightly so. So this Greek philosopher, senator kind of guy, Bygone. Bygone.
I remember Bygone because it's like, oh, like he's from a bygone era. I get it, Doctor Who. I see. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
And so after learning to let bygone be bygone, the Doctor decides to
bygone the Auton.
Bygone. So it turns out that the occupants of this ship aren't exactly human. They are rather every time the Monarch comes and picks up humans from the planet, he augments them into like becoming androids, right? Is that fair enough to say?
Yeah, they're automatons, like Bygone the automaton.
So Bygone is like, hey, the next time that this dude comes to Earth, he's not coming to like, pick up a few things. He's coming to like, turn, like it's kind of like the Borg, where we were just talking about yesterday with First Contact. They want to replace everyone with androids.
I like that you bring that up as if it was on this podcast and it was on a completely different one.
Hey man, it's like Marvel. If you want to know the full story, you gotta read all the books.
Yeah. It is like that, but it's also the thing that he points out is that when he pulls out his mother chip and he's like these are my memories, and this is my personality, and these are my motor functions, and this is my like right and wrong something or other. And then he's like, well, what about all the other ones? Why are they different from you? And he's like, oh, they just have motor functions. And that's it.
Oh, that's heavy.
It's like, oh, that's dark.
So they will use instead of peaceful coexistence, the Urbaniacs will produce from their own bodies. They produce a toxin during something called the flesh time, which is a phrase I can't wait to use in my everyday life. I was like, oh my god, that's what I want to call sex from now on. Is the flesh time.
Flesh time.
So so this toxin causes organic matter.
What time it is? Flesh time. Where are you going? Don't leave. Wait.
Oh my god.
Flesh time.
Flesh time. So that's their plan, is to take away the flesh time, or during the flesh time, to make organic matter just like deteriorate. And so that's the Monarch's plan for Earth. So all this, this is revealed to Tegan. So she freaks out, and she wasn't a fan of this before. So she steals the spare key and uses it to get into the TARDIS, and she tries to get back to Earth. But son of a gun, instead of going to Earth, what did I say?
No, I'm just booing. I'm booing Tegan having any control of the TARDIS.
Right.
Oh yeah, and even the Guacamole men end up like calling that out, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the ship
they try to hang a lantern on how dumb it is, but it's just it's way too dumb.
So Tegan accidentally materializes the TARDIS next to the Monarch ship, and bad Tegan. The four leaders have been given additional circuits to help them reason, but the Monarch has the ability to actually take those circuits away, and that's actually kind of the fate that unfortunately awaits Big On when him and the Doctor are.
Why do you keep calling him a weird name? Just call him. He's Bygone.
It's spelled like Big On, and I like it.
It's not his name.
So Bygone and the Doctor. So Bygone explains to the Doctor that the Monarch is going to strip mine and destroy the planet of James Urbaniak in a quest for minerals to improve the ship, and that's what he's going to do to her. I mean, he's like the aliens from Independence Day, just F's a planet and leaves. And then Monarch tells the Doctor his wonderful plan about him being God, and he's going to go to the speed of light and go back to the beginning of time and make creation happen.
High five himself.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's just, I'm gonna see myself create everything and go, good job, and then be born.
Just like I knew it, bro.
Yeah. Up top.
You know what the Big Bang is, bro? Our high five.
Our high fives, bro. We made everything happen. You're in my world, bro. So the bad guys take Bygone away to have his stuff pulled out, and then the Doctor is forced on his knees, and one of the Greek androids starts to decapitate, or begins the process of decapitating the Doctor. And
that sounds way darker than what it actually is. It just sounds like he has like started like sawing through the bone. Like, yeah. It's been going on for 30 seconds, and then we cut to credits.
Joviter just crying.
Oh God!
Oh man! Did we talk about how like that scene in Game of Thrones where what's his face is trying to decapitate that guy? Oh God! Is Nissa like kidnapped in episode 3 and like
in part 3? Nissa Weapon X. Yeah. She's got that helmet on that makes her look like Weapon X.
Oh yeah. They like freeze her. They put her in cryo or whatever.
Yeah, for like no reason, just to have control of her, I guess. Because
they want to turn her into a robot, so they're just like, hey, we'll pick this one. She's cool.
She wasn't already a robot? Oh, you know what we forgot way back in part 2 that I just want to call it out, because one of my favorite little acting moments I've seen on this episode is there's a part where they're trying to do the math of how they would even get to Earth, and he's like, oh, so if it takes 1,200 years and blah, 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 then what? And then like Adric just has the answer, and David goes like, yeah, and he kind of like double takes like, what the. Yes, right. It just made me laugh because it was so like, why do you know that?
Well, he doesn't. He knows why. He just doesn't, because Adric comes from a mathematician planet.
Yeah, but it just like his little like, oh wow, jeez, yeah.
Well, no, I think it's more just like that's stop doing my job. Like I'm supposed to be the most impressive person in the room. Stop it.
I like it is very. It's cool to see like, oh, the Doctor was always the Doctor, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway.
Why are you going to do that?
He likes to be tall.
So, in the previous episode, like, Nissa gets turned into a robot almost, but then the Doctor, like, saves her. So, now she's just hanging out with the Doctor. And as this guy is going to decapitate the Doctor, she takes the sonic screwdriver and a pencil, and she like touches all of the androids that just have motor functions have this weird chip on their hands. So she like reaches out.
What is that material called? Like I see. I remember. In the 90s, like pencils used to be wrapped in that material all the time, and it was always like, look at the cool pencil.
Yeah. It
But
looks like aluminum foil.
well, but it's like specifically this kind of like aluminum foil that has like this weird like kind of chain link kind of what is that metal that's like got the different man, I forget what that's called, but it's kind of like a chain link kind of design on it, you know?
Yeah.
It's made to look like a type of like metal flooring that you would see in like factories and stuff.
Yeah.
I forget what that's called, but anyway.
So she uses the sonic screwdriver and this pencil to like short out the androids somehow.
On their pogs.
Yeah, on the pogs that are stuck to their hands.
Yeah, they have like pogs on like the space between their thumb and their forefinger.
Right.
It's like a pog just like hanging out there. Oh, and we missed the point. I forgot the part in part 2 where Nyssa tries to mess with one and one of the Greek guys like slaps her.
Yeah.
And Patrick gets really mad. And then it's just like, well, this is pointless. He's not listening to me. He's like, "Hey, buddy, don't do that to her," and he just continues doing what he was doing. Like, okay, this is.
So
I tried to defend your honor, Nyssa, but it's kind of pointless.
Right, robots. There's no honor among robots. So Persuasion is hanging out and overseeing this decapitation. So Adric like jumps in front of the doctor and he's like, no, and like Persuasion's gonna shoot the doctor. And Monarch basically is like, fine, they can live, whatever. So Adric gets like taken to the Monarch and like he just keeps like Adric is super obsessed with joining these alien robots for some reason.
Yeah, he like loves them.
Yeah, like I don't remember if it's in part 2 or not, but like while the Doctor and Tegan are like watching this like cultural whatever, like Adric is just running his mouth about the Doctor, like telling Monarch everything, and Nissa's like, bro, what are you doing? And he's just like, oh, technology. But Adric keeps like talking to the Monarch, and like the Doctor finally is just like, oh yeah. So the Doctor he's gonna stop Monarch's evil plan and whatever. So he gets there's another like cultural dance demonstration.
I'm pretty sure it's just constant. Like I don't think it ever ends.
I don't know.
It just seems like it's a 24-hour.
There's more. It's like yeah. There's more dancing. So
there's that in this time. This time though, it's great because because of the way that the show is shot, you know, where they would shoot one part of the serial a week.
Yeah.
There was, you know, they shot this whole story over the course of a month, and so they had the Aborigine dancers in part 2, and now they're back in part 4, and obviously one of them couldn't come back, and so there's a new Aborigine guy, and he doesn't know the dance moves, so if you pay attention, he's in the background holding the spear.
Really?
And he's just watching everyone else and doing everything that they do like a half second later.
That's awesome.
And like really awkwardly and just like doing the best he can, but he did not learn the moves beforehand, and it is spectacular.
That's awesome. So the Doctor and Adric, they're watching this happen, and the Doctor is just like, Adric, you're a putz, what are you doing? And Adric's like, I want technology, brr, brr, brr. And the Doctor is like, you're either with me or against me, and Adric's like, fine, I'm with you. So they go down, and Bygone, for some reason, like he got his reason chip and whatever, like his independence chip, like taken away. So he just has the little like steel pog on his hand. So when the Chinese dancers come back out, because the doctor finds the Chinese lord and talks to him, and he's like, hey, you know what Monarch's planning, right? You know he's crazy. Can you help me out? And they're like, yeah, fine. So these Chinese dancers come out and they do the dragon dance. And in one shot, the doctor, Adric, and Bygone are sitting like in the front row, and then we look away, and then the next shot they're gone. And then the dragon leaves, and it just keeps going down the hallway, and then all of a sudden, Adric and the doctor like drag this guy out from underneath one of the dragons, which I think is really funny. This dragon just like kidnaps the doctor. So they get Bygone back to normal, and they're just like, rally the android troops or whatever. We're gonna overthrow Monarch. And the TARDIS this whole time is still floating out in space, and Tegan is like crying, and she's just like, blah, blah, blah. And so the doctor basically gets this length of rope, puts on this helmet with no screen, because the doctor apparently can withstand space for 6 minutes before he dies, which I don't think ever comes back up ever again. So he like opens an airlock and just like floats out in space and tries to reach the TARDIS, but his rope is shorter. So he like comes back, and Persuasion and Enlightenment show up, and they like try and stop them, and like they're shooting at the doctor. But the doctor comes back in. He like rips out Persuasion's like motherboard and throw it into space, which is pretty dark.
It's super dark because they just die instantly, but because they're robots, they freeze.
Yeah, so this guy just looks like he's got one arm up in the air and the other arm like at his side, like he's in the middle, like he's playing like freeze tag, or like I don't even remember. But so Enlightenment tries to shoot the doctor again, or she's like wrestling with Adric, and the doctor grabs longer rope and he goes out in space to try and grab the TARDIS. But Enlightenment stuns Adric and basically like unties the rope, so the doctor is just like floating out in space. And then Adric gets back up and he takes care of Enlightenment and rips out her circuit board and throws it out in space.
He straight up murders her.
Yeah, like he just like rips open her chest, grabs this circuit, and just like tosses it. So both of these robots are dead forever.
And frozen in awkward positions.
Yeah, in this airlock. And the doctor is just kind of in between the ship and the TARDIS, and he's running out of time.
So okay, hold on. So before you get to this,
okay,
because this is the greatest moment in the entire story.
Oh yes,
is what's about to happen, and it's spectacular. And what I love about it too is it's also the second occurrence in a row that this stupid thing has come up.
Oh my God, you're so
like it's another callback to Ark in Space. It's so weird. There's a lot of those in the story. It's weird how like watching these stories in this particular order, I wasn't expecting things like this to come up, but things like this keep happening. It's like weird coincidences between stories. It's bizarre. Anyway, go on.
Okay. So the doctor is stranded in between the ship and the TARDIS. So he pulls out a cricket ball and hucks it at the ship, and it bounces off, and then it comes back to him, and he uses the force of the returning cricket ball to propel him the rest of the way to the TARDIS, and it is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
It's amazing. It's amazing because it's really smart. Like it's something I never would have thought of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never seen anything like that in any other space anything, which is even more impressive because it's just like this era of the show isn't known for its originality. So the fact that they did something that I've never seen before or since is awesome to me. I
think like Doctor Who in general, especially Classic Who, they're pretty good about like space physics, because whenever there's like someone out in space, there's no noise and like, you know, like opposite and equal reactions and stuff. So
but no noise, awesome.
Yeah.
It's also important to note that at this time, the Doctor's going full Star-Lord because he's just wearing his mask and that's it.
Yeah.
He's just chilling out in space.
Yeah.
Which he said he can survive the cold for like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
He can like
Is the
hold
cricket ball like the Doctor's boomerang?
I think so.
I mean, essentially, yeah.
Yes. It always comes back.
I just like how much more appropriate it is that he has the cricket ball.
Sure, right.
Than it was when the Fourth Doctor just happened to have one. But
ball.
Are cricket balls rubber?
I think so.
Okay.
Who knows? I don't know.
I
know croquet balls, they're hard and
yeah, croquet balls are, but cricket balls
I think they must
be rubber, right? Because you have to hit them with the cricket bat.
Yeah, I think they're like baseballs, so it's like the leather and then the hard rubber inside and whatever.
What if he pulled a corgi out of his pocket and threw a corgi at it?
Oh no.
Oh my god, that'd be weird. So the doctor opens the TARDIS door and he's like, Tegan, move out of the way, and she's like, oh, okay. So he lands the TARDIS back on the ship to rescue Adric and Nyssa, which Tegan's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm rescuing Adric and Nyssa. We can't just leave them.
Two more of us, dude.
Yeah. So Monarch, he tries to like kill everybody by like shutting down all the life support, but they have all these nifty helmets. So like I don't know why they would do this, but they have the poison that these frog people secrete. There's just like a big jar of it in the middle of one of the science rooms. So the doctor grabs it. And then Monarch Monarch gets off his chair and goes to confront the doctor, and Monarch's gonna like try and shoot the doctor, but the doctor just launches this entire jar of poison at Monarch, and Monarch just shrinks. Like
finally we get the payoff from the Ant-Man helmet.
Yeah,
yes.
And
no, it's a pretty amazing and just such a wonderful villain. He just becomes like a little prop doll.
Yeah, and I think it's really funny because like the doctor, like he's like, oh yeah, you know, he's not really a robot, blah blah blah. But then like the doctor takes his helmet off with the oxygen and then puts it over the tiny little Monarch dude. So he's like, here's some oxygen. You're not gonna die, but we're just gonna leave you all here. And so the androids decide.
It's great Tom Hardy and the Revenant logic in terms of what's saving someone.
It's like, here you go, you're basically dead, but here's a little bit of oxygen. So the androids like pilot the ship out of Earth's way, and they decide to like go found a robot colony. And the TARDIS leaves, but at the very end of the episode, Nyssa like faints, and then
just like the
tune
one
in next week. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll find out why she faints in something like 16 weeks from now.
Right.
But yeah, really fun story. I always forget how fun this is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, it was classic Negan, classic Adrock, classic all of them.
You really hate how crowded this TARDIS is, don't you?
I guess I could just feel how stressful it must be for the doctor.
Oh.
Just having 3, like, kids to worry about. If it was like Martha, Arthur, I don't know. I guess it was just like this combination is like it is a little like Full House, like like Tegan and Aldrich are fighting. What are we gonna girls?
He always has 3 people in his TARDIS.
Yeah,
for as long as he's the Doctor, basically until his final story.
Who's the boss though? Scott.
He's 3. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty sure it's Tegan. She's always the one that's like controlling where they're going and why.
I want to get to the airport.
It's crazy.
What's so charming is how the Doctor always wants to do it. He's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, of course,
yeah,
let's get to that airport."
Also the ship that they're on, like when the Doctor is like floating out of it toward the TARDIS, you get like a good like exterior shot that isn't just isn't like a wide shot of it, and it's very flat and very cube looking. It's very Borgish.
Yeah,
just a bunch of like gray like shapes.
Mm-hmm.
Like on a flat surface. I don't know. It's very Borg looking to me, but I don't
Borgian,
Borgish,
Madame Kevorkian.
Sounds Swedish. I love that joke. Sounds Swedish. So anyway, we have some news to talk about too. That I meant to bring up earlier, but we just kind of transitioned into the episode, so let it go. But yeah, we do have some news to talk about, and some follow up from news from last week, the news that Cassandra brought. So let's start with the follow up. So we have some theories about how Matt Smith could return to the show floating around that I thought could be fun to talk about. So one of them is basically a multi-Doctor episode to end Capaldi and Moffat's run, which would basically be like the team up of Moffat's 2 Doctors. And that's how he would go out as showrunner, and that's how Capaldi would go out and everything. And I'm kind of into that. I like that. I don't know what you guys think.
It's very Moffat-y, I think.
Yeah, it is. That's why it seems like the most like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. I could see that.
Yeah, I mean I certainly would not be against it happening just to see like Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi like play off each other with that, I'm sure the most Moffat dialogue that we'll ever moff, but and so that. If he's gonna do it, like fine, but I also wouldn't be bummed if this doesn't happen because I don't know. It's like we've already seen him pop up at the beginning of like Deep Breath or at the end of Deep Breath, and I don't know. It's like I don't need to see the 11th Doctor, but I'm so it's not like Day of the Doctor where I was like fanboying out like, oh my god, they're about to team up. It's like sure, cool if that happens, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I seem to be getting the vibe from you guys that you're just like, well, we don't want this to happen, so let's stop talking about it. But I just
no. I mean, I'm sorry that that's how you're. I mean, no,
I'm not stating. I'm not telling you these theories as if like right, guys, so great. Like I'm just telling you what the theories are. That's all. Seems to be like you're getting the wrong vibe from me because you're both like, yeah, but we don't really want it to happen. So, and I'm like, I know.
No, man.
None of us do. None of us want this to happen.
What do you think? What are your thoughts, Scott?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it makes sense. It seems like a Moffat-y end of run thing, but I prefer. There's another theory that I prefer more.
What's that one?
The other theory is that Capaldi, the 12th Doctor, will continue pissing off the Time Lords to the extent that they will kidnap him and revert his regeneration so that they don't have to deal with him.
Wait, so they'll just,
And so
they'll
like
just turn him
basically,
back into Matt Smith.
yeah, basically the idea is like, you're a dick. We're tired of dealing with you, but we're not going to regenerate you forward because who knows what we'll get. We're just going to turn you into the guy that you were a second ago. because we know that guy and we can deal with that guy.
I really prefer the first one.
Oh, I love that. I love the second one because it calls back to like war games.
War games, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm really into that. I like that. And I don't think I like it as a theory as like, you know, it's not that Matt Smith would be the Doctor for very long. It would just be for like an episode. And then he would figure out what happened and then leave again. But it's like the idea of like him like just the idea of like Capaldi's new companion just like having to deal with this other guy for an episode.
Oh yeah,
it's just really amusing to me. I don't know.
Yeah. See, I almost think it'd be almost funnier if this happened to him with no companion and just no one ever knew that 11 was like back for like a day.
Well, I mean, it would be basically like no one knew because it's not like she knew 11.
Oh, right. It would be Billy Bob, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be her. It wouldn't be. Yeah, I mean, Clara's gone, so.
My thing about the second one is how would that work logistically? Because he like reset his regeneration cycle, so technically it's his first one of the new.
Well, the new calendar.
Well, but I mean, there's certainly. I mean, look. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, it's all made up. So they can just say like, we took him away, and so you reverted back to the last one of your last regeneration, and then you're just gonna die, and it'll be fine. And we won't have to deal with you anymore.
Given the choice between an episode of Matt Smith or an episode of Matt Smith and Capaldi in the same room, because it's not real, but I do want those two actors to be together because that could be fun. And I guess that's more exciting to me than the idea of just another Matt Smith adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I mean, I think they're all interesting just because, well, I think the second one is more interesting, not to me, from a Doctor Who canon perspective.
Sure. Like
it adds to like the mythology, I guess.
Sure.
Whereas
and it's different than another Doctor's meeting adventure.
Right, exactly. Whereas like we've had a million of those, or not a million, but like 5. And so like I've seen that before. I know what that is. Mm-hmm. I'm more interested in like this thing I've never seen before. I think is interesting if they're going to do it, and if it's just going to be for like an episode, then that's interesting.
And here's interesting: would it be him again, or would it be Capaldi in the body of Matt Smith? Because then we could see a whole nother performance from Matt Smith.
I don't know.
Like a Matt Smith that's uncomfortable in his own skin. He goes, "Oh my god, I'm this young good dude again. I hate this guy." You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The other theory that I see, because there's like 4. So like the third one is that when Capaldi regenerates, there's a problem because he hasn't regenerated with this new regeneration cycle yet. And there's a problem because you're not supposed to have like 2 regeneration cycles. And there's a problem, and he starts reverting back to like all of his past Doctors. And so then they do all of them and not just Matt Smith. So that one I'm not crazy about, because then what, like if the whole point of this is to bring Matt Smith back, that's a weird way of doing it. Cause then it's just a cameo, you know?
Yeah, and then it's like, what, are we going to just see Tennant again and not Eccleston again and John Hurt again, you know?
Right. Yeah. Close up of a leather jacket and a V-neck again, and then another.
Yeah, and then we're just going to see stock footage from the other Doctors again, because I don't want to see I don't want to see crazy old Tom Baker again. That was sad.
Yeah, I know. And then
let me go home. Cut.
And then the fourth theory that I like, and I feel like it could also sync up with the first theory of it just being a team up, is the idea that the David Tennant doctor, that like the clone doctor,
oh right, yeah, the one that's
regenerates into the Matt Smith doctor, and then that doctor, like, or something like that, that doctor is the one that we meet and know and stuff. And there's also the idea that one of these Matt Smiths could end up with River Song, like in the library or whatever. Like putting a kind of a period to her sentence and giving them a happy ending, sort of. But that one just seems like weird, like fan wanky theory kind of thing, where it's just like, yeah, you mean the thing that they already did? Yeah, they're not going to do that.
You know what? You've convinced me, Scott. I think of these four options, my new favorite is the second one.
Yeah, the Time Lords just being like, you know what? The hell with you.
Yeah, because it just seems the other ones sound too BS-y, you know? Yeah. And this one sounds like a cool idea that happens to involve Matt Smith, which I think is the best option. Is like, oh, let's think of this cool story and then see if Matt Smith will come back for it, and not, I want to get the band back together. Let's BS our way until we can make that happen, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that it adds stuff, because I know that it makes it all more convoluted, but like, I don't know, I've never minded that part, you know, as long as the convolution like makes sense, I'm like, that's fine. Yeah. Because I mean, there's been so many, this property has been going on for like, you know, all like 53 years at this point. And it's exchanged creative hands so many times that like none of it really makes sense. Like there's, you know, overlapping stuff and holes and all kind. It's a mess. I mean,
there's three
really
Jokers.
Is a mess. Yeah. So I like the theory that adds something, I guess. Something that we've never seen before.
That's fair.
But now, whether or not it's a good idea or not is another story entirely.
or Matt Smith is going to show up at all.
Right. Totally. But yeah. So I thought that was some interesting follow up. I don't know. So the other thing is that this guy, Rafe Little, I think it's Rafe Little. He is an English actor who is in some show called The Royal Family, or was in some show called The Royal Family. He was recently cast in Doctor Who and in a mystery role, and it's been pointed out that he was the voice of Guy Fawkes in a Doctor Who video game. And so some people think that might mean that he's been like cast as his Guy Fawkes role in the show.
That'd be cool. That'd be a fun person for the Doctor to meet.
Yeah, totally. So it might be, he might be playing Guy Fawkes. The other rumor, which is specifically coming from somebody who's like an insider person, they seem to suggest that Michelle Gomez will be regenerating and he will be playing the Master.
Ooh.
Which I think is cool. Because as much as I love Michelle Gomez, I feel like we've had enough of her at this point.
Yeah, and the nature of the Master is for her to eventually regenerate. You know what I mean?
Right. And so like I just and also Masters have a tendency to overstay their welcome. I mean, Anthony Ainley was like the Master for so many Doctors.
For the rest of the show.
Yeah, for the rest of like it's yeah. And so like, you know, I like that John Sim was only in, you know, like 3 episodes. 4 episodes.
Yeah, if anything, Missy's already kind of been in more than most Masters are.
Yeah, I think she's done
Technically 4 stories.
4? No, technically 2 stories because they just happen to be both 2-parters, right?
Right. Yeah. So
and then she was sporadically in all of series 8.
Yeah. So I guess technically she's been in 4 episodes as Missy proper.
Right. So I don't know. Either
John
one of those,
Sim?
I'd be really into a Guy Fawkes story. I think that'd be really neat.
Yeah.
But I'm also I also like the idea of a new master because that's always exciting.
I'm not looking forward to Twitter reacting to the master being a white man again. But
is he? I can't tell if he's white or not.
Oh, see, I've never seen the man. I just kind of assumed because you said the royal family. That's kind of maybe on me. Yeah, kind of on me in that one. But yeah, so I mean, whatever. I mean, Twitter gonna twit, but
yeah. I can't tell. He might be. He just has features that tell me that maybe he's not completely white. I'm not sure though.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so there's that. And then probably the biggest news was the announcement that Chris Chibnall will be sharing the executive producer position with a producer named Matt Strevens, who comes from, and that was Strevens. I'm not slurring. There's actually an R. And he is a producer from, he kind of got his start. He did some show called The Bill, and then he did a show called Raw. But mostly he's from Skins and Misfits. He was a producer on both of those shows, and then went on to produce An Adventure in Space and Time.
Oh, cool!
Yeah, so
nice.
there's his Doctor Who background. So he will be co-show running with Chris Chibnall.
Well, that'll be interesting.
That'll be cool. It'll be nice to have it not just be one man. I mean, it sucks that it's 2 men, but not just one man's vision of the show.
Uh-huh. That could either be really cool or a disaster.
Sure, or a complete and utter disaster. But so it's season 7, and we survived that.
That's true. So yeah, interesting stuff. I mean, I don't really have an opinion on this guy. I like Misfits, and I liked Skins up to a point. But
I like Misfits up to a point.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, that's true too. I don't think I ever actually finished Misfits. So yeah, I like Misfits up to a point as well.
None of the cast ever finished Misfits.
I guess that's true, yeah. That's right. Oh, that's right, I did finish it. I just forget that that's still Misfits because it's a completely different cast by the end of the show.
Yeah, it's just that guy from Preacher and a bunch of kids.
Yeah. And he didn't join the show until season 3. So yeah. A lot of Doctor Who news happening lately because, they've started shooting and everything. So that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
And waiting to hear the name of that episode.
What's that?
That's, I mean, just like I want once I just hear the name of the premiere, then that'll be like, I'll get really excited.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to hear the name of the Christmas special first.
Yeah. Probably, I don't know. Maybe at like Comic-Con? I don't know.
Have they?
No, they're not. They're not at Comic-Con.
Have they started filming the Christmas special? Is that what they're filming right now, or?
No, they're filming Series 10 right now. They've already filmed the Christmas special.
Oh.
They filmed the Christmas special months ago.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah, because remember there was that whole thing where Doctor Who was filming the Christmas special at the same time that Jack was in Cardiff?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
So, probably going to get an announcement of him being back, which is really fun.
I hope so.
Yeah, because we all know John Barrowman isn't doing enough television right now.
he's literally he oh my god. I've never heard of this before, but he has been hired as an what is it?
Series regular
on all 4 CW DC shows.
That's awesome.
So he just between all 4 shows, he's going to be in 22 or 23 episodes this season.
He's like the Nick Fury of the DCW.
Yeah. Amazing.
That's awesome.
Amazing. But yeah, so that's that's our show this week. We'll be back next week with the 6th Doctor second story, Attack of the Cybermen.
Oh man. Oh. Okay. I guess.
Question, Nick, how do you feel about people's hands being crushed? Into it? Because strap in, my friend. Strap in. Also, Attack of the Cybermen, that's the first 2 45-minute episodes, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's a weird season of the show where for some reason they tried to make the show more mature, and so by doing that they were like, oh well, we'll make one of the ways we can do it is we can make it like a real drama and make it 45 minutes instead of half an hour. And they did that, but they didn't really change anything about the show.
Yeah, that is certainly a thing they did.
Like, oh, we'll just make it longer. Oh, great idea. That's all it needed. Anyway, all right. Well, you can go to our website, duelinggenre.com. You can leave comments there if you'd like. You can also email the show, contact@thedoctorscompanion.us. You can follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. Leave us reviews on iTunes. That really helps the show a lot. It helps people find the show, and it doesn't cost you anything but like 30 seconds of your time. So go do that. That really helps us a lot. Go check out our other podcast, Back to the Future Minute, Geek by Night, our original audio drama, which is officially back. Cassandra directed the most recent episode and co-wrote it with us. We all wrote it together. It's like the TDC episode.
Super awesome.
Yeah, it's like Team TDC is a Ghost Story episode because it's written by the 3 of us. So go check that out. And go check out our Patreon page. We just hit our first goal, which was a weekend edition of Back to the Future Minute. So we've started doing that. But we've got lots of goals going forward. We've got live Doctor's Companion episode and stuff. And honestly, if you guys have ideas that we could do for like future TDC goals, let us know. Because I wasn't really sure. Because other than talking about the episodes like we do, I'm not sure what else this is a weekend edition. So like, I don't know. I don't think any of us have time to make it a daily show. So like, I don't know, what we could do as a goal for TDC. So let us know, if you have any ideas and if we like them, I'll add them to our, as one of our goals on Patreon, but go check that out on help Dueling Genre and all the podcasts that we do. And another way you can help us, you can there's a donate button. We've gotten a couple of donations lately, which is really cool, and I want to thank those people. That's really cool of you guys to do that. So yeah, if you want to do like a one-time donation through PayPal, there's a donate button on the site, so you can do that. Our Patreon page is duelinggenre.com/support. And then also duelinggenre.com/merch. We're selling t-shirts and things now. So you can go check those out if that's something that you're into. Bye.